is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. From the brand new release, Outlier, that is Kingdom Come. And on the line with us right now, we have the one, the only, the guy that is Kingdom Come himself, Mr. Lenny Wolf. Lenny, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm so great. Thanks for having me on your show. Rock and roll, hallelujah. I'm ready to rumble.
Absolutely. Well, Lenny, long time, long career, and you're still not only making great music, but you're making music that expands what people expect out of you, man. Outlier, another record that goes a lot of directions, as has kind of been your makeup, no?
I'm very glad you noticed. I mean, that's just part of me. Can't stop, trying. And progress to me means a lot. I mean, even though I enjoy very much playing the old songs when we hit the stage, but progress to me means a lot. And I think that's what I tried to do this time, even more than in earlier days, just building a bridge between the traditional aspect of Kingdom Come and Kingdom Come in 2013. So I tried. I'm happy with it. Now I can only hope for people out there to dig it as well and, rock the buildings.
Sure. Now, Lenny, obviously the landscape has changed from when you first broke in with Kingdom Come. I mean, certainly the music business is completely different and sales are completely different. What keeps a guy like you out there, still putting out albums, and you put them out consistently, too? It's not like you do them every, 5 or 8 years anymore. I mean, you're still very consistent and you're still expanding boundaries, and it's at a time when the business is just not such where you put out a record and it sells 500,000 copies and, you live nicely. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, whether one wants to believe it or not, but I am a true-hearted creator, if you want to put it this way. I mean, writing to me, like creating something out of nothing is giving me such a fulfillment. It's just something I have to do. I mean, on the other hand, I don't want it to turn into work, so I don't really like work my ass off. But I spend very intense periods in my studio, and then a couple of weeks where I don't even look at my guitar. That's just the way I work. But I'm not just writing songs and okay, here comes the 10 billionth, get it on, and do you like it? To me, growing, as I mentioned earlier, progress means a lot. Sorry, I had to cough a little. And so just basically minding my own business and doing my thing. And thanks to the new technology, I can spend weeks and weeks in the studio and building sound elements which I probably weren't able to do in the old days. In the old days you were gathering up 4 or 5 people in the garage, banging out the riffs, and once you get to a point where you think, okay, this is cool enough, you get in the studio, then the red light turned on, and you had exactly 2 or 3 weeks, then you got to be done. So luckily those days are over.
Sure.
But on the other hand, as you mentioned earlier, record sales have certainly gone down radically. 20 years ago, a band who sold 5 million records nowadays is selling 100,000. So the record industry obviously has changed radically, which is the downside, especially if it comes to supporting young new bands. But I can't waste my time worrying about all those things. I just keep riding my vehicle called Kingdom Come and hoping for the best to happen. And in the meantime, I just have another apple pie out of mouth. Rock and roll.
Sure. Well, Lenny, listening to Outlier, the thing that comes out strikes me, and it kind of has been that way with a lot of your stuff post like the In Your Face record. So really most of your career is you've really developed into a very, very quality songwriter, especially lyrically. I mean, songs, even on the new record, songs like Let the Silence Talk and Trap Is Alive and, stuff is like that. You've really kind of wordsmithed it in a way to where you can kind of find a meaning to yourself as the listener, but it's not like a defined statement. You know what I mean?
Great. I'm thrilled. I mean, I'm very grateful for every word you just said, because that's exactly what's going on. I'm trying not to be a smart ass, but I do like to share visions, thoughts, experiences I made. I like to make people think without the preaching lifted high finger, pointing at people's face. So it's basically the cobblestone guy, trying to say something sensible. In the meantime, still enjoying the hard edge of rock music in combination with new elements. So that's just, I mean, you basically summed it all up. Well, I mean, if we were in the same room, I would give you my changer, but what can I say? Thanks, man.
Sure. Well, on the new record, which song here on OUTLIER stands out to you as, you know, something that maybe feels personal to you, but you think is you know, something that most people will relate to the most?
You know, that's a question I've been asked a lot lately, and honestly, I can't answer that because everybody is hearing and feeling very differently. So it's. I mean, I can't put my finger on a particular song. The thing about Kingdom Come, it's not like you hear one song and you know the whole record. I mean, we have very particular different vibes for particular situations or times of the day. What do I know? I mean, I like both. Like one of lots of different faces. I mean, take. Let Silence Talk. It's a very straight rocker, a simple riff. I was actually working hard on not overproducing that song, just let it groove, let the riff do its thing, like give the drum a great tone and a vibe, and let the lyrics and the melody do the rest. On the other hand, songs like When Colors Break the Gray, which start out actually more like a movie soundtrack, and all of a sudden turn into this intense wall of guitars, hardly definable, and not like the old days where Hendrix had a particular tone. I mean, that's more like a guitar condition, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but I really love both worlds equally much, so I can't really say. It's just out to you people out there to, you know, check it out, and hopefully something will grab your soul or your heart or whatever. And then if not, then don't tell anybody.
Sure, definitely.
Rock and roll!
Definitely. Now, Lenny, who actually outside of yourself makes up Kingdom Come or plays on this record?
Now, honestly, I mean, that's no secret anymore. I mean, even in the old days when I was still living in Los Angeles, with the original gang, I played rhythm guitars and even some bass parts in the studio. I turned out to be one of the key writers, not because I got an ego problem or I wanted to be the main cheese. Actually, it just turned out that way because otherwise not much would have turned out. You know what I mean? So I just ended up doing things just to get anywhere. And I was surrounded very much by great guys and great players, but playing great and creating are two different things.
Sure.
And and unfortunately, I was never able to find my so-called soulmate, like a Lennon McCartney, Page Plant, Bon Scott, Angus Young. I mean, I never found the perfect match. So I just automatically became more and more self-control or whatever you want to call it. So and this just made me become what I am today. But that doesn't mean it's over. I mean, you know, I still may run into a particular guy. All of a sudden, they're gonna like come up with magic. But in the meantime, I can't just sit around and dig in my nose and start whining. I just gotta do something. Like the drive in me wants to do something. So and that's what I did. And hallelujah.
Absolutely. Now, Lenny, you know, early in your career, as I'm sure everybody knows, you guys were just really, probably more than almost any band in the 80s, you were so pigeonholed as the Led Zeppelin clone, the next Led Zeppelin, whatever. And I personally, as a fan of the band, think that really hurt you guys because while certainly it got people to listen to you, it didn't allow people to listen to everything that you did. Do you think that hurt you at that time, or do you think that it was helpful for the moment, or what? It was
definitely a blessing at first, and it was a curse on a second look, absolutely. I mean, it's no secret. I'm one of the biggest fans of Planet Earth regarding Led Zeppelin. It's one of the unbelievable, best, fantastic rock bands out there. Okay, there's one band I admire more, which are the Beatles, because for some reason they just get me through my childhood. But it's an amazing band. But after having been compared like 2 billion times later, my former guitar player, Danny Stagg, just made a remark at some coffee shop, you know, who's Page, which of course was a sarcastic, ironical meant statement.
Sure.
And some writer picked up on it, and then the rest of the press just jumped on the same train wagon without ever even having asked us. I mean, of course we knew about Page. So those are like truly so old news.
Oh, sure.
I personally, pardon my language, I really don't give a flying fuck about it anymore because, I mean, I'm not running for president's office. I'm just, like, doing my music, and it's a free world. Nobody has to buy it. But, I mean, I remember when we were playing in London, I met Robert Plant, such a charming, witty, smart, cool guy. And what really, like, later on disappointed disappointed me. I mean, I was kind of like glorifying the almighty Mr. Superstar Jimmy Page. And how could a living legend even whine about a little meaningless little Kingdom Come? That really took him, at least for me, off his throne to just another great guitar player. It kind of like I thought. I mean, why? I mean, there was no reason for. But again, it must have kept some people's mind very busy, even spending all the energy talking about it. So, as one thing I learned throughout all those years, which I'm in the business now, bad press is still better than no press. So, if you want to continue nagging, I don't care. But for the people who don't, listen too much about the cheaps, blah, 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 just spend some time listening to the songs, and you may find something more valuable than some, cliche, blah, blah, old news rap going on and on.
Right. Now, Lenny, Outlier is your first album in, 4 or 5 years since Magnified, correct?
No. Actually, in the meantime, I recall, through the same record company, SPV, we released Rendered Waters, which was something I've been thinking about for many years now. As I mentioned before, I think many people's hearing habits have changed. And as much as I'm happy and grateful to have lived throughout the 80s, which was one of the best times I've experienced so far, obviously, I can't really listen to the production anymore of 80s. I mean, from the 80s.
Sure.
I prefer listening to 70s stuff or even on New Age stuff. But the 80s for me just kind of like doesn't tickle me anymore. And some of the songs I still felt strong about, but couldn't really listen to anymore, at least not in the way they were produced. I kind of just felt giving them another shot by just putting them into a light, and which I feel more comfortable with. So just something for fans. I mean, some like it better, some don't. It's just something I had to do.
Sure.
But Outlier, in comparison, of course, is like a radical new statement, yeah.
Sure. And even from Magnified, I'll be honest, I didn't hear Stillwater. But I did hear Magnified, and Magnified, to me, seemed like, and it kind of makes Outlier that much more different for me. Magnified almost seemed like maybe Lenny Wolf slowing down a little bit, just a little bit, where now Outlier kind of proves that completely wrong because there's so many more rockin' tunes on that one, Yeah,
I think, one thing I learned is that basically everything we know is that we know nothing. Things can change one way or the other, and all of a sudden something comes around the corner and you surprise yourself or other people. That's just the way it is. And once again, I can only say thanks, and I'm very happy you dig it as much as you say you do. It's just something I had to do. I knew I wanted to add some rough edge guitars and some atmospheric elements, but everything else is just, thanks to the god of creativity, or I don't know what you want to call it. It's just like a 5-year-old at work in the studio throwing around candies and hoping like some lollipop to pop out to fall down from the sky or whatever.
Sure.
What can I say? Yeah, rock and roll.
Absolutely. Well, Lenny, I'm curious about your opinion of some of your contemporaries that are out there, and I don't want you to, necessarily target them specifically, but I'm just curious, as a guy that kind of was in a band and then sort of developed into his own element with his project. There's bands out there now that are broken into 2 elements. There's 2 Queensryches, there's 2 Great Whites, there were 2 Rats at one point. What do you think about that kind of a thing, and do you think that it diminishes the overall legacy of bands like that?
Honestly, that's actually something my grandmother told me many years ago. If you got nothing nice to say, rather keep your mouth shut. So I'm trying to keep it very diplomatic, but still true-hearted.
Sure.
There are people who need to make money to pay for rent. It's totally understandable, and it's perfectly all right. I personally would rather try the drug than misusing my idealism, my inner drive for my mission called Kingdom Come. But that is me. I'm not weighing out or saying better, right, wrong, blah, blah, blub.
Right.
It's just the way I feel about it. And I know that lots of singers are jamming all over the place, like make it back here, make it back there. And of course, it's hard to give up and all of a sudden start working at McDonald's. It's not exactly what people had in mind, but life can spin around and make you dizzy, and suddenly you wake up. Oops, what's going on?
Sure.
So I just preferred holding up my flag and continue my mission. And I know, I mean, I've been going through some rough waters, but if you're very content within yourself and you know who you are, you actually get by pretty good, because I'm not the type who really worried much about what's going on. Should I be looking like them to like be cool now? I mean, I'm probably the only singer on this planet without any tattoos. So I'm running around like an alien or something. So I mean, that was never my cup of tea, trying to fit in or chasing trends or trying to sound like, you know. I just did what I felt doing, trying to like pull the best out of me, as much as whatever that means. I mean. Can't put a stamp on it, but I'm speaking of quality, but it's, you know, just the way I look at it. So can't blame anybody for trying to make a living, but I rather, as I said before, drive a truck than doing something I don't feel good about.
Sure. Definitely. Well, Lenny, Kingdom Come, the new record is called Outlier. It is, it's going to be out everywhere soon if it's not already. And where can people find out more about Kingdom Come and Outlier, and where can they pick it up and whatnot?
My brother, who actually lives in Seattle, Washington, he's going to update our website fairly soon, I think this weekend, and he's going to put up lots of pre-order sale links,
okay,
like Amazon and record companies and all kinds of stuff. So people can definitely pre-order or look into the record like fairly soon. Then, of course, we get the website, you know, lennywolf.com, just to like get some basic infos. I mean, I'm not a big fan of a news site, because what should I tell people? Okay, today I bought tea and tomorrow I'm going to buy bananas. That's not really exciting. So we just skip the news site. But just talking about the band, you know, some pictures, some biography issues, and, you know, blah, 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 context, all that stuff. And then we got those wonderful forum moderators from Florida, Rebecca, and from Ohio, Dave. They're just taking care of the fan base, and now speaking of the forum and MySpace and I don't know what else.
Right.
So that's basically, those are the channels I can think about right now.
Okay.
And, hallelujah. In the meantime, you know, I think music is a universal language. Just let the music do the talking and nothing else.
Sure. Well, Lenny, before I let you go, I need to ask you what is known as the traditional classic metal show question. We ask everybody this one. I have no idea.
Sure.
I have no idea where you're going to fall with this one, but we'll see. How has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
Not at all.
Not even a little, huh?
Not even a little. He's a cool guy. I mean, he's been living at the Rainbow just like I was back in the good old days.
Right.
But I mean, he definitely had no influence on me. I mean, musically spoken, I was always more in that Beatles-ish, AC/DC, Zeppelin, Depeche Mode. What do I know? You know,
sure.
corner. You know.
Sure. And it's ironic, though, because he's the biggest Beatles fan I've ever met. So.
Oh, is he? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, think of the Beatles. I mean, if I was stuck on an island with one record to live with for the rest of my life, what do you pick? Of course, the Beatles. I mean, they the first did punk. I mean, speaking of revolution, they got the melodic stuff going on. They got the "She Loves You," yeah stuff. But they were never cheesy, and I can't tell you why they were grabbing so many hearts and souls. It's not just another great pop band to look cute for the time being. I mean, John Lennon, just the whole chemistry among those four. I can't explain it, man. I love John Lennon. I miss him so fucking much. Yeah. The Beatles, to me, are just like my gods, you know, period.
Sure, definitely. Well, as I said, the new album is called Outlier. It is Kingdom Come. Lenny, thank you, obviously, for your time. And why don't you pick a song from Outlier to close the interview with and tell us a little story about it?
Oh, my God. Okay, to really scare you all off now and to never look at a Kingdom Come record again, let me hit you with one of the more newer approaches, which is called Rough Ride Rally. Oh, dig it, and if you don't like it, don't tell anybody. And to sum it all up, don't believe what they say about me, I'm much worse. Rock and roll!
Well, let's check it out right now. It is Rough Ride Rally. It is Kingdom Come right here on your Classic Metal Show.